Today's episode of the Occasional Podcast is brought to you by Hi-Fi Rose. Hi-Fi Rose streamers give you a beautiful, intuitive interface, sleek design, and incredible sound quality from your digital music library and favorite streaming services, such as Apple Music, Tidal, Qobuz, and more. There really isn't anything else like Hi-Fi Rose, which is why it is the streamer of choice for audiophiles all over the world. Visit hi5roseusa.com to find your nearest retailer or order online. The future of music awaits you.
Oh, hello, friends. You have reached Season 9, Episode 11, with Mark and Brian on your podcast. Mark and Brian. Mark, how are you?
I am doing great. I'm getting ready to catch a plane and begin another great road trip.
On the episode today, you have reached us at a time where I just came back for something and Mark has just taken off. I just got back from the Can Jam SoCal headphone event in Los Angeles, and we are here to basically talk about what's hot in headphones now and also catch up with Mark on his travels into the great wide open.
Mark Phillips on the road.
In a segment we like to call Mark Phillips on the road. And Mark is going to be traveling all over, and he will be reporting back on his experiences on the PTA, the PartTimeAudiophile.com website. He's going to be giving us updates on the podcast here, and he's going to travel so you don't have to and see, I don't know. Mark, why don't you kind of enlighten us as to what you're going to see on this trip and where you're going to go?
I'm going to Northern Virginia, so I'll be flying into Dulles, and I'm going to be attending the Alma Audio East grand opening. So Alma Audio is a dealer in San Diego, and they're opening a new branch all the way on the other side of the coast, and I will be covering it, and it will be YG acoustic speakers with Vinny Rossi amplification from the Brahma stuff. And so I'm going to be hanging up there. Vinny will be there, of course, and it'll be Mark Sosa of Well Pleased Audio Vida and Alexander Siufi from Alma. The first day will be press, and then it will be open to the public. So you guys should all check it out. I have an announcement on the website on how to attend this event. They're going to be showing the new Sonya 3, just a brand new model that they're unveiling, but it's also mostly for the grand opening. So
that's your U.S. stop. Boring.
That is boring. Yeah, I'm going to be like, I can't even whip out my passport yet to go to
Mark Phillips on the road.
His tires squeal over the water. That's how eclectic you are when you fly out of here. Then where?
Portugal. And I'm going to Portugal to visit Inuas. And this will just be a factory tour, hanging out, seeing how they do things there. And that's in Faro, Portugal, so the very southern tip of Portugal, basically. So it'll be an interesting part of the world to be in. And then from there, I go to Credo in Switzerland. I'll be going to Switzerland.
One of my favorite stops. Love Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah. I've never been to Switzerland before, so that'll be interesting. And then finally, back to the United Kingdom, where I will be heading to Audio Note UK. I will be chatting with the legendary Peter Kvortrup of Audio Note UK. And again, I hope I pronounced that one correctly, Kvortrup. So,
well, you did a big review, didn't you, of a multi Audio Note component system recently? Because they make, I think, components from end to end, don't they?
They make components from end to end, everything from phono cartridge to speakers to cables and everything. It's one of the rare brands that you can actually have a full system, all from one brand, everything. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this every year, but it was fun to do an entire system of one brand just to kind of get their holistic, comprehensive view.
Yeah, right? Their vision.
And so after I finished, became an honorary member of the Audio Note UK group club, cult, whatever you want to call it, because I get what they're trying to do, and it's really interesting stuff, and I enjoyed it. I want to see how they make the stuff, and Peter Gavortrup extended an invitation to talk to him about what he's doing and visit the factory, so that will be exciting too. And then I'll come back home, and then I'm not going anywhere, hopefully, until Axpona in April.
Speaking of brands that are hard to pronounce, we recently posted something on Facebook, and we asked, in your opinion, what is the most mispronounced name in audio? And we posted a photo of OPPO. Mark, how do you pronounce OPPO in your opinion?
Oppo.
Oppo, not Oppo. Oppo. All right, that one's pretty easy. We got some comments in the thing, and if you guys want to join the conversation, you can always find us on Part-Time Audiophile on Facebook. But there was an interesting list of things that I didn't think of. First, someone said Orlick. I don't know if that one's so hard. On a scale of 1 to 10, Mark, how hard is Orlick to pronounce to you?
Nothing. I think the first time I saw the name, I said Orlick.
Here's a harder one. What about Bang and Olufson? Olufsen.
Yeah. Bang and Olufsen.
Olufsen. There is a U in there. All right, that's good.
Olufsen.
Dibule, if you know French. This is one that I thought was really good that I never considered. If you never heard this said, Seas. Seas. But I feel like people say that word more than you see it written. So that one is...
We read about audio more than we talk about audio. And so for me, the biggest one...
That's true.
The biggest one right out of the gate, there's one that's really big, and that's Riga. And everybody calls it Rega. And it's Riga. And I asked a dealer, I go, is it Riga or Rega? And he goes, it's Riga, because that's how Roy Gandy says it. And so it was Regal with the L dropped off. And so that's the story behind Riga. But I run into Riga owners and dealers and whatever else, and they're still calling it Rega. So that's a tough one. And it's a made-up word anyway, so it could be anything.
If you make up the word, I think you get a license to the pronunciation. How about Goldmund?
Goldmund?
Goldmund. That's Audisies.
I still call it Oddies sometimes if I'm not paying attention.
I don't know. Let me ask you this. Do you think Focal gets a lot of mispronunciation? I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but I bet you a lot of people go focal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so since it is an English word, but in French, I know another one French is, everybody calls it triangle speakers, triangle acoustics, is triangle.
For real?
Triangle, yeah. It's how you say it. It's the same word in French, but the French would say it triangle.
All right, last one, Emotiva. Emotiva. I talked to the owner. He said he named it after emotion, so I guess that one wasn't so tough for me when I looked at it, but the way it's spelled, Emotiva, that could be a bit confusing.
Emotiva.
You have any other ones? Hegel?
Hegel.
Hegel.
Oh, Hegel. I don't know. It's like there are so many of them because, and a lot of them are based on foreign words, but a lot of them are made up words. But I remember at least in 2 different places where I've written about audio where we discussed having a glossary of how to properly pronounce all these things because it is so widespread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing about events before we move on to our next subject. I wanted to let you guys know that I went to an event at Common Wave that was the re-release of several titles on Rhino from Rhino Records. They were released on Blu-ray and they were a quad setup. Mark, have you ever heard of quad setup before?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, I'm old enough.
This is surround sound before surround sound, right?
Yeah.
This was actually done in the 70s. And so apparently Warner Brothers created about 150 quad audio mixes in total, but they only did this between 1972 and 75. And Rhino got a hold of these and they're re-releasing them a couple at a time, and they had a really cool experience set up there at Common Wave. Great space, a warehouse kind of space in the Arts District of Los Angeles. The main 2 speakers were these Clips Jubilees that were giant, and they were so fun. And it was really interesting with jazz because there leaves a lot of more decisions up to the mix. The engineer on the mix on this one, he decided to put individual instruments into individual channels. So I'm sitting in a room and it's basically like being surrounded by a jazz band. Now, I do think it's up for debate whether 2 channels can simulate 2 ears better than, well, I got 4 instruments around me, and that's going to affect a lot. I think there's a lot more control through just the 2 channels. I just think it's a very fun, interesting experience, and they might be coming out with a couple more in surround sound, Dolby Atmos, maybe. So, I think that they kind of have a fun thing to do here, and it was a lot of classic rock and jazz tunes, so the titles fit kind of really nicely into, I think, what a lot of the guys are into. So, yeah, super fun. Keep an eye out for that. Rhino Records is the name, and they do a lot of vinyl too, but the quad thing was kind of a fun twist, I thought. So, and it will play through, a decoded surround sound system if you have one of those. Boo! That's what I say.
Yeah, not a multi-channel fan, unfortunately. I'm a 2-channel audio guy.
Mark Phillips on the road.
It's
Today's episode of the Occasional Podcast is sponsored by Inuos. Inuos engineers innovative, artful, hi-fi products that deliver unexpected warmth and accuracy. Products that unleash the full potential of digital music playback. Going beyond simple ones and zeros, Inuos products elevate music enjoyment by offering true audiophile performance from your digital music library or hi-fi streaming service. Find an Inuos dealer near you to hear the difference. Today's episode of the Occasional Podcast is sponsored by Purist Audio Design. Quality audio deserves quality sound, like the purest of diamonds. Purist Audio Design, one of the originals and high-end, just launched their Diamond Revision. With improved metallurgy, flexibility, and enhanced shielding to protect your system from RFI, EMI, interference from noisy wireless devices, the Diamond Revision, just like all of Purist cables, is made right here in the US of A. For over 35 years, Purist Audio Design has passionately made high-end, handcrafted audio cables designed specifically for the needs of your system. They list their specs, such as resistance and shield quality, and you can find them at PuristAudioDesign.com. Purist Audio Design is veteran-owned and available worldwide.
So the first thing I kind of want to talk about, what's hot in headphones, the state of wireless. I just got back from the show here in Los Angeles, and it was a good amount of wireless. It's still, I think, a lot of IEMs and a lot of high-end tube, like your kind of transitional 2-channel audiophile stuff that comes, I guess you could say, reverse engineered back down into headphones, but wireless, true wireless, being the small ones that fit in your ear. I think one of the most fun things I saw at the show that was bucking the wireless trend was the update of the Focal BATHYS. Now, this is one that I don't know if I can pronounce. It should be Bathies, but it is not pronounced that because it's a French company. It's pronounced. Mark, you want to take a stab at it?
And I think it's a Greek word too, so I don't know if that helps. But I would say Bathis.
It's a $699 over-the-ear wireless headphone. So it's kind of like maybe one of the more expensive wireless headphones out there, but it has the same form factor as the rest of the Focal hi-fi line, which is cool. So it looks like the high-end, has a little bit of a high-end price tag for a wireless. It has a new color, Dune, that just came out. So I like that one. To me, it screams a little more like traditional audiophile roots than whatever has been going on in this space for the past 10 years. But if you are interested in like more of the IEM, the earphone factor, Estelle and Kern also came out with a true wireless UW100 MK2 for $300 that I have a chance to listen to personally, and I think it sounds friggin' awesome. But it is more of like an in-your-ear factor for like working out and going on walks and such. Also, I was also stunned by the Noble Audio Prestige True Wireless in full wood. There's a couple of earphones. Jim Moulton, I got a chance to talk to him. I'm going to lay that interview in right now so you can hear for yourself. But yeah, Jim brought some interesting products into the fold, and I hadn't seen a full wood version of a True Wireless yet. So listen for that at the end of the interview.
This is Jim Moulton from Noble Audio, and here at the SoCal Can Jam, and introducing a few of our newer products. The Ronin, which is kind of the successor to the Katana. It's 8 BA and 4 electrostatics. We've got 4 Sonyan BAs for the low end, 4 Knowles drivers for the mids, and 4 electrostatics for the highs and the super highs. The other interesting thing about this one is we have a standard cable that is in collaboration with Elitech. Elitech does a wonderful job with the CNC work and just excellent cables.
Wow, that's cool.
And then we've got, this is just released, and they're just now being shipped to dealers and distributors. This is the Spartacus. The Spartacus is just a whole lot of fun to listen to. It's something that you could listen to for hours and not get fatigued. The interesting thing about the Spartacus is it's got 4 Sonyan BAs and then 2 bone conductors, and the bone conductors actually do the mid-range.
Wow.
So they're actually a whole lot of fun. The bone conductors add a whole lot of depth and feel to the music. And then we also are just in the process of launching the Prestige, the Focus Prestige. Many people know about the Focus Pro and the Focus Mystique. The Focus Prestige it actually has an all-new PCB board. It still has the same 3 drivers in it. It's got the 2 BAs and at an 8.2 millimeter dynamic. A lot of people, for some reason, don't know about the app that you can download. It's for free, and it's got a 10-band equalizer, so you can actually make these sound any way that you want. Very easy to equalize. The case on both of these is all wood, as well as the shells are all wood.
Wow.
So another one of the headphones that kind of stole the show, in my opinion, was ZMF. The room is crazy. You can't even get into the room. I wrote this up in my article. You can see it on Part-Time Audiophile, but it's like at Andrew Jones' room when he releases a new product. Zach Merbach, who ZMF is named after, he's charismatic. People like him. I think he's a very, very nice person, and I was able to land an interview with him that I'll paste in here after we kind of chat about it a little bit. But he has 2 new products that he was talking about, the Bokeh headphone and the Arcadia amp. And I got to say, with the Bokeh, for those of you out there who have been looking for like the more less expensive option, because he makes bespoke wood headphones, kind of like the Noble Audio Prestige that we're talking about, was bespoke wood. This is a chance to get in at a little bit lower price point. So he has that going on. But we also have Mark Phillips is knee deep in yet another review.
All right, so I fired up Headphone Rig again. It's been a while. Got some real good stuff in because I've been wanting to get back to that for quite some time. So what I have right now is that Zach sent me 2 ZMF headphones. First is the Atrium Closed, which is, I think it runs $2,500. And he also sent me the Caldera, which is about $3,500, and that's an open one. I recently bought the Name Nate 50 integrated amplifier. And
Color me jealous on that, dude. That looks so cool.
I have a long past with the Name Nate, and it's one of the first amplifiers that I ever bought that really kind of got me into high end. So this new version, the 50, has an headphone amplifier. The original Nates did not. So that's kind of a new thing. So it can be used as a headphone amplifier, which I decided to buy it for it to be my workhorse amp. And it does sound really good. Really, really good. And Name has always had pretty decent sounding headphone amps. So I have that. And I also kind of suddenly out of the blue came the Audion, the Silver Knight 300B and 30th anniversary headphone amplifier. So I got some 300Bs fired up, and I'm listening to the ZMFs through that as well. That's the rig I have going on right now.
Whoa.
And so both ZMFs are killer. They're just killer. I think I'm going to go a little bit more with the Caldera simply because I seem to have a bias more toward open headphones than closed headphones. The Atrium Closed are one of the finest closed headphones I've ever heard in my life. So it's going to be a fun time.
How do you think the 300B performs in the headphone space as opposed to the speaker space?
I really like it. I'm not the biggest 300B fan in the world. I have other output tubes that I tend to favor over the 300B. I mean, I like 2A3s and 45s a lot. The 300B is very rich and warm and liquid as a headphone amplifier, and it's got a lot of texture. It's just fun, and it's comforting, and it's smooth, and it's warm, and it's all the things I like. So I kind of dig this one.
That's great, because I have a 300B in here that I just got from Woo Audio. They make a 2-piece giant, the WA5 headphone and / integrated amplifier that I'm going to do a series on speaker reviews with, but I'm also using it as a headphone amp. And that is similar to my experience as well. And I'm just like tickled pink because this thing's over the top. It's huge. It's 2 pieces. It's like solid metal ridiculousness. But 300B, if you like to play in a sandbox, it is a new sandbox to take. And you're right. I don't know if it's the most resolving, like, digital sounding thing. It's a departure a little bit in a certain way of thinking, but I love it. I like variety. I like some different stuff. I have so many solid state amps. So like if I'm going to do something, and this is again just me, I like to really taste it. Like I really want to try the 300B experience. I want to hear the 300B experience. I don't need another solid state replica. But that being said, of course, as we talk with a lot of tube amps can sound very solid state, and a lot of solid states can sound tubey. Do you think, though, Mark, would it be accurate to say that the 300B lands more on the tubey side than the solid state side, in your opinion?
Oh, definitely. And I'm able to kind of compare it directly right now because I have the name, which of course is solid state, with the Audion, which is the 300B, and the ZMFs are resolving enough to let me know that there are huge differences between the two amps. And I'm going to say that the 300B amp I would prefer it, but it's also more money. But the 300B amp is really the kind of headphone amp where you just relax. And for me, headphone is about curling up on the couch, and it's not about sitting stiffly in a chair and listening for everything with a clipboard. It's about just relaxing and falling asleep. And I see that more with the 300B than the name. The name is a little more exciting. I guess it's more neutral. It is detailed and lets me hear deep in the recordings, whereas the Audion is just hugging me the whole time, and whispering in my ear the whole time. It's just wonderful.
So ZMF, we're coming out with 2 things that are new. This is the Arcadia. It's a new amp collaboration with JDS Labs, and we tuned it to suit all of our headphones, and it kind of does the trifecta of ZMFs in our low impedance Boca headphones that are 80 ohm LCP drivers. Of course, we have our high impedance headphones that everyone's used to that are dynamic driver as well. And then the Arcadia also will drive the Caldera or any of our future planar headphones really well because it has 2 watts fully balanced, or single-ended balanced out design. And so it also has a switch on here where you go between 1 ohm and 47 ohms out, and that gives you that flexibility of having, what impedance you want to match with, and that's how the amp is really malleable to work with a bunch of different.
Something special about this volume pot?
Well, the volume pot, we custom designed it, and it looks cool. And, that's the thing about volume pots is they all do the same thing, but you want to have that tactility, that touchability, that feelability.
You can do it with your finger on the top.
You do it on either side. It's got a nice weight to it.
Yeah.
This is a slightly earlier version. The final version's very smooth feeling, very buttery. It's a buttery, flaky crust. Yeah, so this we're hoping to release Black Friday, November 24th. It'll be MSRP will be right around $1,000, a little cheaper at release. And then this is the new ZMF Bokeh, or Bokeh, as some people have told me it might be want to say it. And, the idea is that the whole world will blur around you when you have this on, and this will be the only thing you can focus on, the only thing. It kind of differentiates itself amongst ZMS because it's a little easier to drive. It's got that 80 ohm driver. You can drive it off like just about anything. It does scale really well with power and stuff, though. It's a little bit lighter and definitely has that different look, that oval look to the chassis. It's going to come with a, there will be a case eventually we make where you can put it in your backpack easily and store flat. A little bit easier to own ZMF because of those reasons.
So I also ran into our friends at Meze Audio. Now, I guess it's maybe one of those that's hard to pronounce. Meze, Meze. What was your get? What would be your stab at that?
Somebody told me it was Mies.
Really?
So
I
I don't
haven't
know.
heard that. But I've
Yeah.
been wrong so many times before, folks. So many times.
We all have. Who knows? Who knows? But I think I've heard somebody say Mies.
A wonderful company. They make one of, in my opinion, the best $300 price point headphones with in terms of like rich tonality for a closed back. They're 99 Classic, I think it's called. But they have a new top end tier that I wanted to play the interview for you guys. So here's that.
Hello everyone, I'm Mircha from Meze Audio and I'm here to show you our newest headphone. It's a limited edition 109 Pro, and the main difference between the standard 109 Pro and this headphone, which we call the 109 Pro Primal, it's the wooden hand-carved ear cups. So each individual cup is manually handcrafted. Each one is different and it's unique. It's of love and craftsmanship. It's traditional in our region where we come from. It's a quite interesting finish, which we are really proud of.
Price and timing?
Pricing is 1,000, so it's a 200 more than the standard 109 Pro. It should be available in the next month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On top of that, Meze Audio headphone, there is another big, this time a planar magnetic headphone from a planar magnetic almost exclusive company called Abyss. The new Diana MR at $2,995. That is also a reduction, similar to the ZMF, of their traditional price point. They usually go even higher than that, so they've always been a classically high-end company. They were partnered with the company I mentioned a little bit earlier, Woo Audio, and their new portable Tube Mini for $499. That is a small tube amp, headphone amp, in a dongle. So you can attach to your phone or your whatever on your desktop. It's truly portable, not too heavy, light. That interview, I'll plug in right now.
Hello, I'm Eric with Abyss Headphones. We got our new Diana MR here. We're showing at CanJam 23, SoCal. This is the forged carbon model. We got 3 color variants, but this is made to be a bit easier to drive for mobile use. Similar sound signature to other models, a little bit warmer and richer in tone. Yeah, really just made to be ready to go on mobile bits, so a little easier to drive, a little lower impedance, slightly higher sensitivity. $3,000 price point, and we're actually shipping this now. Just started shipping.
Well, we have a brand new product. It's called the Tube Mini. It's a traditional vacuum tube DAC amplifier, but it's truly portable because it doesn't require an external power source. Just plug it into your iPad or your iPhone with USB-C or Lightning, or your computer if you want to, and you're ready to listen to great quality tube sound. It is also balanced, so you have the 4.4 millimeter balanced output and a 3.5 millimeter unbalanced. So for standard headphones, you can use it as well. But if you have the fancy headphones with the balanced connection, this is capable of doing that. It's $499. It's shipping now. It comes in a variety of colors: red, silver, black, and we have a blue one over there. It's a great little system for travel use. Throw it in your bag and your headphones, and you're ready to go.
The last 2 people that I ran into kind of got me thinking about an interesting subject. I'm going to patch in our good friend Justin Weber from Amps and Sound. He was showing his high-end tube amplifiers that have a nice, fun kit feel to them. But if you listen closely, right at the end, he kind of talks about color. And Mark, I was wondering, from your experience, what do you kind of feel is going on with color in terms of components? So, as many of you know, if you're into this hobby, most components, most like amps, are either 2 colors, silver or black.
I think it has, from my experience in this, it has a lot to do with where you are. It's geography. And traditionally, like in Europe and in the Far East, they're a little bit more welcoming to different colors than they are in the U.S. And I'll give you an example is that I once distributed a brand of speakers And at the time, white speakers, gloss white finishes, were huge in Europe. And and I like the looks. We saw them at a couple of shows, and we said, "Oh, I really like the look of white speakers." And so we imported one pair just to see if we could sell them. One pair of speakers in white, and they sat around and they sat around. And we used them at shows. We did all, and it got to the point where I finally sold it to a dealer at a greatly reduced price because nobody was interested in white speakers in the United States. So, and that's what they said at the time. I review and I get all sorts of speakers in all sorts of colors. And I like that just because it's easier to photograph for the magazine and it's more interesting. But you are right. It's that when it comes down to what I'm going to pull the trigger on, it's going to be silver and black. I don't know. It's just because here in the United States, audiophiles are like me are boring. I like black, but when I'm getting stuff in for review, if I give it a choice, I'll ask for it in silver because the photograph's better. But if I were buying it for my house, I'd probably go with black. I just like black.
Hey everybody, Justin Weber, Amps and Sound. You know, this year we didn't want to just show flagships as we've done in previous years. We kind of wanted to go back to our roots and our basics. So later on, my daughter Kenzie's coming. So we have a Kenzie right here. And then we have the Mogwai SE, which is our best seller. So we have the amp that we've built the very longest and is our company house sound, paired with what I think is sort of the PB&J sound, which is Sennheiser HD800Ss with a Kenzie OG, is peanut butter and jelly. Then what you have next to it is the Mogwai SE. The Mogwai, everybody always asks why a Mogwai. A Mogwai is a gremlin before it gets wet. Much like a tube amp, never get them wet. You have a Mogwai SE is your generalist. So if whether you're dynamics or planners, so if you want to have Sennheisers, Odysseys, it'll do it all. Moving from that though, we have the big one of the group, the Red October in red. I call it Maserati valve cover red. In previous years, I've done it in other colors and everybody gets confused. So I made sure that this year the Red October is in red, not to confuse anyone. It has been revised. So we've always strived to have internal improvements each year. And so this Red October is our Rev 2. It culminates with all of our improvements. It's quieter, it's more powerful, and it has a tube cage. And I think that for all of our metal amps, they live in color. Almost always everybody buys black. That being said, I think that they live and breathe and have personality in color. And, you know, I hope more people buy them in color because they're actually super cool and beautiful in color.
I just got 2 more interviews that I want to lay on you guys from the show. This is from the show floor, so I do apologize for the loud background. It's not as silky smooth as what we can do here in the studio with Mark and I. But on that same vibe, Campfire Audio is out of Portland. They make IEMs, but they always do such a good job with the artistic side of the marketing and the delivery, especially in the packaging. Well, they decided to take that to another degree and do a chromatic series. So they're rebuffing the entire idea we were just talking about with a color-coded series, like 4 IEMs, going up the ladder in terms of price point. Ironically, though, if you listen close to this interview, I caught this just last second. I'm pretty sure I heard this right. Even though it's the chromatic series and each headphone is in a blazingly crazy color, the alt is still black. There's still an alternative available. So everyone comes in as designated color plus black in case you're afraid of colors. So that's an interesting one. Let's cut to that right now.
Okay, this is our new chromatic series line. We're starting off with Cascara here, which is our single full range 10 millimeter dynamic driver. Okay, it comes in blue or black and is available as universal or as a custom fit model. Now, next up is Ponderosa, which is a 5BA design, available in green or black. And this is a lot more, resolving, analytical, sort of in that Andromeda family of earphones, right? And this is 5 BAs, right, at $799, okay? So again, available in green or black, custom or universal, right? And so when you're buying anything from this line, you can pick your cable, you can pick your color, you can pick the whole setup, right? Pick your accessory color. So, and the cables come in the color or in black. Now we've got Supermoon, which is the 14 millimeter planar magnetic driver. Super smooth, super planar sound, right? Very linear, really extended,
14 inch
really
is
balanced.
pretty big, isn't it, for a driver?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is a really crowd-pleasing earphone. You know,
wow.
A lot of people really enjoy it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then Bonneville here, top of this line, it's a hybrid, right? So full range 10 millimeter, then we're augmenting that with a couple of BAs. And this is going to be the really you're going to get the full meal deal. Rich, deep bass, and you're going to get all of the detail and resolution that BAs are going to do. And this one kind of came together actually in the past couple of days, and really happy with the tuning. It's great.
The final interview I have from you is actually a friend of ours from the high-end two-channel shows, Greg Barron of United Home Audio, the inspiration from many late nights, actually. I think he does a great job of staying up, putting 1,000% into his presentation. Generally speaking, if you want to find him, he spins his his high-end reel-to-reel systems late into the night. A great time, and he has an amazing cache, an amazing collection of reel-to-reel audio that you can listen to, and a lot of the stuff I've only heard from him, so that's super cool. He was partnered with High End by Oz, and they had a giant color-coordinated red high-gloss Ferrari yada 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 2 amplifier there. I'm going to patch that in right now. You guys can check it out. But it was a kind of an odd, first time I ever saw a reel-to-reel at a headphone show. But the presentation was awesome. The sound was great. And it had just this really good analog vibe from end to end. So here we go with that.
Hi, I'm Greg Barone from United Home Audio at Can Jam SoCal. We're here having some fun. We're doing something crazy for the first time ever at a Can Jam. We're running a tape deck. This is the United Home Audio Ultima 5 with the outboard power supply. Basically takes power from the wall, AC, turns it into DC. There's 2 power transformers in there. One runs just the motors, the tape logic, that kind of thing. The other one just runs the dual mono head amps. Wow. So you have complete separation of church and state. Yeah. Only thing in the box is DC power.
So I'm Oz from High End by Oz, and we're the importer and the distributor for Viva Audio in North America. And this is the 845, Egoista 845 tube headphone amplifier. It's a powerful beast. It weighs about 65 pounds, so imagine the power transformers in there. And also it's a point-to-point wired Italian beauty. This is a Ferrari Corsa red that we got it painted for. So we can get it in any colors that you like, no upcharge for coloring. They're very powerful. There are 3 amplifiers, headphone amplifiers. Egoista 845, Egoista STX, and a smaller brother, Egoista 283, again, for regular headphones.
So, Mark, safe journeys on your way out. Anything you kind of want to add at the end of the show here? Do you need to text us your location so you don't disappear? We need you at the site really bad, bro.
2023 was definitely the year of globetrotting for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping 2024 is going to be mellow at home in my new digs, enjoying things. I know that I definitely am going to Expona. We'll be at Expona every single year because it's the big one. I want to get to Munich because I think that we find out so much information when we get out of the U.S. that, are we going to get you to finally come out to Munich maybe?
You know what? I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I went to Munich this year for a little holiday, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I'm going to make every effort to get there this year. I can't make any promises, but I'm making every effort to get out because it's a wonderful little city. I know people don't talk about it maybe as much as Berlin or some of the other cities, but man, oh man, Munich, gorgeous in the summertime. Also, I want to let you know, I think you might not have as many AC issues this year because hopefully you're going during a cooler time period, right? I feel like every time you travel in the dead of summer to countries that have usually no AC in the hotel rooms.
That was a problem last year. This year, when I went to Munich this year, the weather was much nicer, so it was actually raining here and there. So I didn't have any problems, especially now that I'm living in a place where it stays in the 50s and 60s through the summer. I'm going to be very, very ultra sensitive to any kind of heat going forward. So
I would like to note to the listeners, to our audience, that Mark was raised in the valley for at least some period of his life, so he knows the heat. Hot, dry summers.
Yeah, I do. I lived in the valley for a while. I grew up in Orange County. I lived in Central Texas for 4 years. Been through all types of weather, and then I lived in upstate New York, so I know what cold is too.
It's like you're a traveling audiophile.
Mark Phillips on the road.
On the road.
Mark, thanks so much for coming on and help us out. We're looking forward to those updates, so we'll make sure to drop them into the next couple of podcasts that go up. But safe travels. Let us know how things sound, what's going on, and any, of course, new news coming from abroad. We'd love to get a little bit more info on. So that's awesome.
You have got it.
The Occasional Podcast is a production of the Part-Time Audiophile Network, which includes parttimeaudiophile.com, The Occasional Magazine, the PTA newsletter, and audiohead.com. You can stay in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The Occasional Podcast is produced and hosted by Brian Hunter, executive produced by Scott Hall at PTA Productions. The Occasional Podcast and its original associated music is monitored, mixed, and mastered on the Focal Trio 6 BE studio monitors. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Occasional Podcast on iTunes, Google, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcasts are downloaded.